I've been on a ketogenic carnivore diet for over a year now, and something I've realized is that the keto flu is a myth. And in this video, I'm going to tell you why. So, if you don't know me, my name is Keegan. I help people get onto keto/carnivore, and I help them improve their health and their fitness. But if we're going to talk about the keto flu and why it's not actually a thing, we have to just kind of break down what happens. Why do people think this keto flu actually exists? Okay, whenever you stop eating carbohydrates, that's an important note. Whenever you stop eating carbohydrates and you go onto a more ketogenic diet, meaning you start eating more protein, you start eating more fat, a lot of people will experience these symptoms of headaches and muscle cramps and fatigue, and they just feel weird, and it's just like it feels like a flu almost. And that is true that that does happen, but the reason why I'm saying that the keto flu isn't real isn't because you don't feel those things. You absolutely do. It's because calling it the keto flu is a totally inappropriate name. If you think about it, just eating more fat and more protein doesn't cause those things independently. Like eating a steak, eating more steak isn't going to cause you to have these flu like symptoms, have these like headaches and these muscle cramps and all these sort of issues that people associate with the keto flu. Eating a bunch more fat isn't going to cause that. It's specifically whenever you remove the carbohydrates from your diet. I've experienced this personally. Okay, I started eating a lot more fat, a lot more protein. I was still eating some carbs, felt perfectly fine. Actually, I felt better because I was actually giving my body the nutrition that it needed. But here's the thing, whenever I removed the carbohydrates, I experienced the so called keto flu. And I had headaches. I had, muscle cramps. My energy, it wasn't low. I just felt really weird. And I felt a ton of these sugar cravings. And so let let's do a little bit of like trivia here, okay? You might like let I'm going to guess you're up for this, okay? What happens whenever you remove a substance that is addictive? Okay? Just think for example like, some hard drug like crack cocaine, or better yet, let's do some opiates, right? Like heroin. How, you've probably heard of people going through their withdrawal symptoms, right? Sweating, headaches, irritability, craving the drug. Hmm, that sounds oddly familiar. Let's go to another one, alcohol. Whenever you are withdrawing from alcohol, what happens there? You get really sweaty. You get a little really irritable. You start craving the thing. You need it. Hmm, that sounds really familiar. Like, I'm just gonna cut to the chase. Sugar's a fucking drug. Okay, so to say that this is caused by it's because you're eating keto, it's completely inappropriate. It's wrong. It's just straight up incorrect. What a better name would fit that is sugar withdrawal, because you're experiencing withdrawal symptoms like you would literally any other drug, alcohol, crack, meth, caffeine, okay, whatever it is. You experience withdrawal symptoms after building up a level of consuming that substance for a while. You build up an addiction to it. You build up a chemical dependence on it. It's the same thing with sugar. It's the same thing with carbohydrates. It alters your body's chemistry. Your insulin is higher. So you hold on to electrolytes a little bit differently. Okay? It lights up your dopamine centers just like any other drug does. So you want more of it. You crave more of it. It messes with your satiety signals, so you overeat when you probably shouldn't. Look, the hard truth is sugar is a drug, and whenever you remove it, you have withdrawal symptoms. That's why people go through the keto flu, is because they remove the carbohydrates from their diet and they're experiencing carb withdrawal. It's not keto flu. It's not because the keto foods did that. It's because you removed a drug that you were addicted to. So that's the baseline. Okay, that's just the reality. So and I don't think people were actually blaming the keto foods. I hope they were not. But the enemy here is sugar. The reason why you experience these negative things is sugar. Okay? The reason why you were going through this flu is because you were addicted and you had this constant influx of sugar into your body, and now you're removing it. and your body's going through withdrawal just like it would any other drug. Okay? It's not, like I said, it's not the keto foods doing this. It's not the low carbohydrate foods doing that to you. As a matter of fact, they can't do that to you because they're not drugs. They're nutrition that your body needs. Like, give me a a nutrient, a exclusive nutrient that you can get from a source of carbohydrates that you can't get from a source of fat or protein. Name one. Okay, obviously some people are going to say, "Oh, vitamin C." Guess what? There's vitamin C in meat. Okay, there is. It's just not a huge amount. But if you're not eating much of carbohydrates, you don't need a ton of vitamin C. So, yeah, keto flu, it's a myth. It's just sugar withdrawal. So, what can we take away from this? Baseline is, if you have blamed this stuff in the past thinking, "Oh man, I just can't do it because of the keto flu," just understand you're addicted to a drug. That's just how it is. Okay? This stuff lasts maybe 2 weeks. Okay? And you can get through it just like any other drug withdrawal. After, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, depending on how addicted you are, you can break off and it just goes away. Like, again, I experienced this personally in my own journey whenever I removed carbohydrates. All it took was just a couple of weeks for me to stop craving sugar. And then I felt the best that I've ever had in my entire life. A lot of people will say, "Oh, but I feel better with carbs." It's because it's your baseline right now. Okay? It's because that's where you have gotten yourself. It's the same thing with meth or heroin addicts or opiate addicts or whatever. Is you have this constant flow of drugs, 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 drugs. And eventually that just becomes your baseline. You need a high dose of this stuff just to feel normal. And that's the exact same way with sugar. Okay? Think about a lot of these think of one guy in particular who's just constantly upped his sugar intake, his carb intake for whatever reason. I think you know who I'm talking about. He's a former carnivore. But he's upped his carb intake to like 300 grams a day when before it was decently lower. But it's constantly gone up and up and up and up. And it's the same thing regardless of who you're looking at. I mean, you can even exclude him and just think like, okay, just in general, people over time, just think about why people get obese to begin with. Is because they just need more to feel normal. It's a drug. You're addicted to a drug. That's why. You're addicted to this pleasure feeling that you get from food. And that's why people feel worse whenever they quit carbs. That's why they feel awful for a little bit. It's just like any other drug. It's a withdrawal. But once you get past that, you're actually going to be in a lot healthier space, in a lot healthier of a place. So I just want you to understand that the keto flu is a myth. It's not real. It's sugar withdrawal. And just hammer that into your brain and hammer that into anyone else's brain who will listen. Okay, especially if you're on a similar diet to me, like a keto carnivorous diet. You need to hammer that into everyone's brain because it's not the keto's food's fault. It's not the steak's fault. It's the sugar. It's the carbs that people are eating. Like I had to hammer this into my mom's brain the other day. It's not keto flu, it's sugar withdrawal. Get it right because that is important terminology for people to understand. Once you understand that sugar is a drug and that it is destroying your life day to day, just like any other drug does, then it's so much easier to quit. It's so much easier to get past those withdrawal symptoms and go on to an actual ketogenic diet where you're going to be a lot healthier. So, one last point I do want to address is yes, sugar is not as hard of a drug as something like alcohol or, like meth or heroin or whatever. It's not as hard of a drug, but that's what makes it that much more insidious is because it's a slow progression under the curve. Like it's the amount of time under the curve that you have that elevated blood sugar, that you're in that high insulin state that causes you damage, that slowly poisons you over time. I'm sure there's people who are perfectly healthy eating a bunch of carbs every day, but it catches up with them eventually. You can see it. Like that guy I was mentioning earlier, he aged literally like 20 years in the period of 5. It's crazy. He looks so much older now. And it's because He's been eating a crap ton of carbs and just straight fructose and sugar, bro. That shit is aging him. Okay? So I hope this video has been informative. I hope it's been helpful. Again, keto foods are not the enemy. They're not the reason why you feel these problems during the transition from a high carb to a lower carb diet. It's the carbs themselves. And by removing and lowering the amount of carbs that you eat day to day, it's going to make you healthier, but you're going to have to deal with the withdrawal symptoms of being addicted to these things. That's just the reality. That's the brutal truth. And so, if you are struggling with getting onto a ketogenic carnivore diet, I can help you out. So go look for my Instagram, go DM me meat, and I will help you out. Or just comment on this video. I'll see what I can do to help you out. Contact me in some way and ask questions because I can make more videos like this to help you out. So if that sounds interesting to you, go check those things out. I'll see you in the next one.